to New Generation Women. This is an episode for all the women who are self-employed, for those who can do home office, have to do home office, for those who want to take a sabbatical, or maybe for those who plan their retirement. This is something, if you want to come over to Mexico, to this place like Chapala, the area of Chapala, Ajijic, San Antonio, Las Floresta, this is definitely a place where you could stay and do this, take your work here. Maybe you want to write a book, maybe you want to find yourself, maybe on crossroads, you want to leave the old, you want to go to something new, you want to get an image of how would you like to retire if you know you just have another 10, 15 years to go. This is a really good place for those things. When you plan to leave your country for a few weeks, maybe more for vacation with your family, or for a few months to do some homework here, or home office here, or if you even say, I like to leave my country for a longer period, maybe even I don't want to come back, I want to see how it's in different countries, I'm fed up with the politicians, the politics of my country, I'm fed up with how things are handled. In this whole pandemic, this is a really great time for transformation. So even if some things are really hard during the pandemic, and we all know which they are, some things go much smoother. Everything that is based on changing, on transformation, on finding yourself, on finding your own truth, looking for your community, bonding with people with whom you feel a richness. I think that is going to be the new age also. What is the real richness? What is the real connection? What is real success? This is a very good time to figure it out for yourself. And it's always easier not to do it in your country because we have so many belief systems and national patterns and educational programs that are filled with the stuff that our country gave us, our education gave us, and some are really great and some are more destructive. There is no country that doesn't have that, so it's no worse or bad. It's just me coming from Germany and coming from the Netherlands. There are some things I get stuck in, I get wrapped up in. And this is my mind telling me stories, illusion, lies that is, my own personality, but also how I have been educated in Germany, how I've been educated by my parents. And nobody meant it really bad. But we are cross-generational. We are picking up what our parents teach us. We're picking up what the globe teaches us. And we're also picking up especially what schools, universities, environments, corporates give us further in order to. And in order to, what mainstream says, we see now lots of in order to get happy, in order to get successful, in order to get your kids and your house and your car. It doesn't seem to really work, or it doesn't seem to work anymore for the next phase in our lives. So exploring what is the next phase, exploring where to go to. It's very good to leave your comfort zone and leave your environment. And if you can also to leave your family or your partner. I'm just saying this with the highest respect. I once had a wonderful coachee and she wanted to work with me. I didn't think we would really fit. I thought a lot of juiciness is missing her. How am I going to teach her, coach her if she wants to go in a different way of presenting herself, showing up? Because there is something really missing in her life. And the missing was the bit of joy, the bit of juiciness, the bit of liveliness, the bit of passion that seemed to be just gone for a while. So I sent her for 3 months on a sabbatical, just with one rucksack, to 2 continents without her husband. And I thought she will never ever agree to that, but she did. She said, I go for it, I want it. So we prepared her sabbatical for 3 months. I said to her, just write me a text message when you arrive and when you go back. And other than this, I gave her a few, rules, self-inquiry rules, safety rules. We prepared that, and she really came back transformed. So no matter, that also happens if you go with your spouse or with your family, or also with your girlfriends, or also maybe with your team. Because there are possibilities here, and I will come to the places you can rent at rental agencies, at Airbnbs, over and via Facebook communities. And there are 18-bed houses that you can rent for very little money compared to, Northern Europe, or compared to Canada, or to North America. So coming back to the reason why it is always good, and even you can give yourself some off time and then your family comes in, or your team comes, your spouse comes. But it's a great way of finding yourself and broaden your horizon. And that's not learned via MBA, that's MBA, sorry, MBA, that's not learned via books, that's not learned via studies, that's learned if you jump into the cold water and you learn and you grow and you find yourself and you see your boundaries and you also see what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So I really highly recommend to take this chance. I will take the next episodes to explain to you, the downers, the things that you could be aware of to have less stress than me, the things that are really filling your tank and nurturing you big time. And I give you some soul messages in between. I also will show the top 3 restaurants here in Achichik and the top 3 coffee places in Achichik and Chapala. They're beautiful places. They also have very often good internet. And now we come to the first part where I think this is something you should be careful of and mindful of, to have least stress and suffer less compared to me. If you really plan to say, I'm fed up with my country, I'm fed up with the heaviness, I'm fed up with how the things are handled in the pandemic, this will really speak to you. Or I think I need to take this time to just get my mind off, to get free and find myself again, because mostly the sensitive people feel the heaviness, the stress, the narrowness that we feel in the country. This is completely when I left Germany. In Mexico, I started breathing it, and it started breathing me again. The life force came back through my cells of the body, and the life force of just feeling alive, kicking, joyful, grateful. That just all was uplifted, was all right there. So it's always there in us. Just if there are so many layers around us that nurture then our own layers of doubt, of fear, of, it hasn't been a very people empowerment passage the last year. It has been more about informing, but informing often with a lot of energy of fear. And we don't want to go there. We want to spiral out of that, and we want to find ourselves. We want to find our own voice, our strengths, listen to our gut feeling. Also important decision making, if you want to have a vaccine or no vaccine, I always say, please listen to yourself from a place of stillness, from a place of trust in your body and trust in your own voice. And that can be a journey. That is so easily said. And I have learned decades of distinguishing what is the voice of my intuition and the voice of my own guidance and what is the voice of fear. So these are lots of different episodes that will nurture your empowerment and nurture to find your own voice and give you information on maybe you want to go here to the place at Lake Chapala, or maybe you want to go to another place, but you're thinking of taking time off to find your own voice. That's the point. And before you go, the best thing that I highly recommend you is get yourself prepared and find yourself a local assistant who speaks English and Spanish. I'm happy to share the contact details of Andrea. I think she's awesome. We have learned so much together. I think she's just getting herself started up. We have a patriarchal system here in Mexico. She has raised her family, and she has been very dependent on her husband financially. She didn't want to ask for money anymore. She was done, and I came into her life and she said, I'm ready to earn my own money. I'm divorced. I'm ready to earn my own business, to stand up on my own feet. So she is really totally devoted and dedicated to serve people, help people, and make her living in this. So she's great. I put her contact in the text box. If you ask me, I'm happy to connect you guys, and she's just a doll. If you want to look for yourself, you go on Facebook community. There are many Facebook communities for co-living, for community living. If you want to go to Thailand, Bali, or here in Mexico, just find your community where you feel trust, where you can trust the information that put out on the board. And ask, put out flyers, put out notes, put out posts. Who knows somebody who knows if I'm looking for a local assistant who can help me prepare for a certain time with a certain number of people or by myself to go abroad and writing a book, finding myself, working home office, being self-employed. That will help you so much, because you can say, this is my budget, this is my length of time, this is the many people, how much we come, or this is the company with which I'm coming. Maybe you're a startup, maybe you have just had a good phase Some architectures had a really great phase. During the pandemic, they didn't have any losses. They gained a lot of, they had the record year, I heard, of one company in Switzerland. Maybe they want to, work closer together, build their team, rent an 18-bed house, and come here and or rent a few houses and really focus here on teamwork and building, because it's so free here. When you talk with your local assistant, you can also go to rental agencies, you can go to Airbnbs by yourself. But what you need to be mindful of, and it sounds so logically easy, you need to have 2 internet providers. You cannot go with one. One will very often go off, and also here, high-speed internet in this area of Lake Chapalat can be a really, really big problem. There are so many things to think of. You don't want to, go into the details unless you really love to go into technical details. I just had to. But you should go with fiber optics. Just remember fiber optics. There are different companies offering fiber optics, and you go with another one that has a certain kind of stability. It's good if your local assistant or your owner of the apartment, the house you want to rent is open and has a speed testing app, so that you have a speed test for uploading and downloading material, which also gives you security if you have Zoom calls, if you want to lead coaching groups, facilitate coaching groups, or if you want to watch movies for research, documentaries. You want to have really no stress around the internet and have the best and highest service you can have. And this is important that you give it some extra time. Don't be easy on this. I did it. So I'm here almost 4 weeks and I'm still finding stuff out, how I can work. I've been running like an animal to different cafes, coffee shops, where there was no noise, no construction work, no live concert, no party. And don't be mistaken if you think, oh, in the evening I'm not working. There might be live concerts or garages or construction works where they have really big loudspeakers. And that can happen in the morning for brunch. There are a lot of people retire here. They love to be entertained, and there are lots of people who are musicians here. They play their guitar, they play their loudspeaker, and if they have construction work, they better have very loud music. Mexico loves loud music. So if you're sensitive to loud music like I am, you better take care of that. So you keep the Mexican traditions safe. You don't go in overjudging because you love the locals. They bring what you need and what you need also for your whole inspiring process. And they bring why you left your country. They bring savoir vivre, they bring the spirit, the music, the art, everything, the lightness, the easiness, the warm-heartedness, the connection. The social connection doesn't mean that you're hugging everybody. That's not the case. There are also some rules here. But the way how they're handled is very softer, and there is a connection through eyes, to embracing. Nobody will tell you how you should live your life here. Nobody will tell you which kind of mask you wear and how and here. That is absolute in your own decision making. So it's a very allowing country. It's a very spacious country. It has, of course, its downsides, and we'll talk about them too, so that you can prepare. But the reason most of you guys are thinking of leaving the country, thinking of taking a sabbatical or take your home office and just take it for a few months in another place, is definitely the spirit of Mexico here, is definitely the life that we have been missing in our countries through the pandemic. At least I can talk about Northern Europe, about the German-speaking countries, about Netherlands. And I also heard that here are Canadian people and American people who are really very disappointed, sad, angry about how things are handled in their countries. So if you're from German-speaking countries and you have been so fed up, like in Germany, I had been so fed up, we are not the only ones. But definitely I think we go through a really dark period, which to me gives hope, because the further we go down, the more strength when we go down we will have to go up again. So maybe Mexico is not going down so much right now, and they just have, take temperature, you have your mask when you go into restaurants or places, and you have some liquid for your shoes, that's chlorine I think, and that's basically, and they have some gel, and so but no big deal out of it. You just do it and then you're done. So they are not so aware of all the stuff that's coming up, and they don't have to in this passage in time. In Germany, I can talk about Germany. We are really aware, or lots of people waking up to it, aware, see what's happening behind the scenes. So the spiral goes, of course, down. People get more depressed, they're more edgy. But again, that means the more the spiral goes down, the more there's hope and strength and power to go up again and to transform what has been bringing us down, and for decades, not just now. So first is an assistant. Get a local assistant through communities such as Facebook, or ask around, write posts, ask friends. I'm definitely happy to share my contact details with Andrea, who has a big network again. The second is for budgets. You can rent houses, and mostly they have a time length. They like to rent long term, 6 months, 12 months. There are already places you can rent for 3 months. Now this gets a little bit more difficult, like for me, 3 months, and then I'm on my own. Like I don't want to rent a house for $1,800 with having all my fixed costs happening in Germany. So you want to keep the budget small, and you want to keep it mindful and smart. You rather want to invest into the locals or having support systems, and that is, I think, investing mindfully in your budgets with the pandemic as a self-employed, or maybe in a sabbatical time. You just want to not throw the money out of the window. You want to share it and more invest into local people who so much need the money and are so grateful for that. But if you are the two of you, or of your family, or of your group, you can easily get 2, 3, 5, 6 bedrooms for $1,000 to $1,800 and share that. And you have garden, you have beautiful spaces, you have the Mexican art. And you have the view very often on the lake, on Lake Chapala. You can be in the city when you want to have it more lively and you're not sensitive to noise. If you want to work more, have retreat time, work with your team, be with your family, go a little bit outside of the bar and restaurant area. If you are by yourself like me and you came here and sometimes think little idiot me with all the challenges that I had to face and I'm still facing, it's a little bit harder to get a nice apartment around 600, 800 US dollars. It's doable, but you have to give yourself more time and more patience. You shouldn't be on a timeline. I was on a timeline when I came here. Very big mistake. Come here for 1 or 2 weeks and do nothing. Just think into the current of Mexico, to the spirit. So don't come with a mindset and you apply it here. Like you come with a German mindset and everything like dun 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 goes like this. It's everything logical, everything is networked. We leave Germany, just as an example, because we leave maybe a kind of a coldness, a scientific coldness, as William Tell in one of my latest interviews said. A coldness of heart because people are hurt, so they close more their hearts. You come here because you want to open your heart and have a warm heart. And you don't come here for having quick, reliable, logical, functioning, ready-to-go systems. That's not how it goes. I don't think it's so bad, but you need to have more patience, more savoir-vivre, and less on your to-do list. Less on your to-do list, guys. Less on measuring your life quality on your productivity of the day. Sign out all the to-dos. Do it to 1 to 3 to-dos. And have your happy index not dependent on how many to-dos you managed. It sounds really ridiculous when I'm saying this, but if you come here for work and if you're working with European corporate systems or startups, they are still on the same timeline. So you will find a way to still meet the needs, but you come from a different place. And to match this and those different mentalities, that takes some time and some observation skills and allowing yourself to be taken out of your comfort zone and stretched sometimes big times. But if you prepare and if you have a mindset of allowance and of patience and blending mentalities, it is way easier. And we don't want to have us, how we were, running into a new country, because we bring us right here. And we actually want to, break the pattern of being ourselves for a while. So just let that go. Budgets, I said, about the 2 internets I talked about. Very important that the local assistant is taken care of. If you don't want to have a local assistant, be very open with the owner of the Airbnb or the rental state agency so that they take care of this. And please remember, Mexicans sometimes are so hungry to help you that they overpromise and underdeliver. So you don't want to go into that spiral. You want to have it on paper, you want to have it confirmed, you want to be determined but gentle and really say, please, this is necessary. And it's very, very important that somebody has a speed test running, makes a screenshot, sends you the speed test so that you have the possibility to upload and download material. And see, this is what can happen. So you might have a Zoom call or you might just record something like me and suddenly people are showing up and having construction work in the background. I think it's going to finish in a few seconds. I hope so. But sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it lasts for the next hour. And you sit there in a very important presentation with a company or you facilitate a coaching group and you have exactly that in the background happening. So it's good to have earphones. It has good to have the mic that, it's more sound proofed or sound protected from the environment, which is also very good. So I will continue because the noise is breaking us. So I keep it short. I will continue with top restaurants, top coffee places, more things to prepare for and be mindful of and to think about during the next episodes. And I leave you with the last soul message. Just know you come here to find yourself and find the next passage in your life, where the passage is created by your own inner guidance. We have lost this. We are hearing so many information through news, through different people. See, it stops now, so this can also be easy. In the beginning, I didn't know that, so I would make a whole different, drama out of. Now it's going to stay for the next hours, but no, you chill, you see, I got more peaceful. And coming back to my last bit of the soul message. So when you come here, don't have the old conversations with your friends. Don't watch news. Don't go to your channels of Canada, of America, of Germany or your country and keep watching the news. You want to get out of your country. You want to get gap between where you come from to sink into where you are right now. So preparing yourself again to listen to your own voice, that you know intuitively what to do when you want to come back or don't want to come back, is one of the key anchors in the future that people will need again, because this is when you take your power back and you want to own your power. And for instance, I just tell a little story and I have to, oh gosh, this is again so late. I have to watch the time. I promise, I'm watching the time. Yeah, take a sip. The little story. I had yesterday a social media expert because I'm also new to social media and to the free market. I come from broadcasting, but that was a long time ago, and then I was in the corporate world. So the whole social media approach and communication style and marketing style just sometimes overwhelmed me, and I sometimes said, I want to make it meaningful. I don't want to commercialize it so much. Well, here I'm starting again. But I had a social media expert who told me, you don't have the personality and the communication style that makes you successful in social media. That pushed really my buttons. Not so much of vanity, but more of where's my place? Do I have a place, or am I now too old? Am I too much of a granny to find my way? Is it just not fancy enough anymore? But working through myself and working through the issues and hearing my guidance, my own voice, I could heal some of it. And then I had, if she's watching, thank you for that. An email came in. I dropped it. I healed the wounds that came up, and I will also in the course of the next episodes give you some self-inquiry tools so that you can heal stuff that will come up here. You will never run away from your stuff. Let it come up, let it all come up. Let it all come up so that you can let it go and let it be healed. It's very important. We're in transformational time. We don't want to suppress it. We want to bring it up, heal it, and step into the next phase of our life. And somebody who has heard my podcast in Germany was so sad that I was gone. So she did research. She found me back on YouTube. Thank you. She was so lovely in what she said. It had been so empowering. And she said, wow, I missed you so much. I'm so happy that I found you back. So I think, maybe I don't have the communication style. Maybe you want to put something up on YouTube or on Instagram or whatever, and you don't have the young 30-year-old sexy, shining, yay, all is good, great transformational marketing style that is very successful. And I was so jealous, but we are not 30 anymore. When you're watching my channel, you're maybe 35 plus, you're 40 plus, you're 50 plus. We just have a different way how we resonate with each other, and we shouldn't act like a 20 or 30-year-old. That we should be graceful for where we are. And many people, what you think is just not necessary or not important, other people might find it so sweet just the way you are, So I started to be way gentler to myself and learned again, okay, remind to be passionate and compassionate what you have to give. Yes, people will shake you, and yes, you will be shaken here, but learning to trust your guidance, learning to speak your own voice, this is the place to be. And to learn with all the inspiration that is surrounding you, to back away from your culture, your family, and yourself in the old system, so that you find yourself in a new inspiring place. Having said this, I finally say goodbye. Have a beautiful time and see you soon. Bye.